Muy bien. Y buenos días. Feliz lunes. Happy Monday. Feliz lunes. Muy bien. Vamos a practicar español. Espero que ustedes estén bien. I hope you guys are well. Ah, y bueno, hoy vamos a practicar con descripciones de lugares. We're going to start with place descriptions, descriptions of, hola, Juhi. Muy bien. Muy bien, sí. We're going to do some place descriptions. We're going to be focusing on, making sure that we use I correctly versus es correctly versus está, those confusing kind of verbs because they're all kind of the same to us. If we're English speakers, we use is or are, but they've got a there are, right? And then the to be verbs. So I versus está versus es. But of course, you may very well use other verbs as well. That's all cool. But the focus has been on that. And the focus today is going to be places. And from there, we're going to move on to a slightly different topic because of the season we're in. You'll see what I mean. Okay, vamos a empezar con esto. Quiero saber, quiero saber. I want to know if you have any questions about this video. They did a video of just strolling through a town, not a huge city, but a town. And just describing what is around that town. And that is what we're going to be doing later. So this was sort of a modeling thing. And they tried to go in very, very slow Spanish, but to some of you that might have not have sounded very slow. So, and don't feel badly if that is the case. I do want to know if you have any questions about any vocab she used in that video or little structures. If you have any question about that, let me know. And that we would review it. But otherwise, I will assume they had a lot of English subtitles with the Spanish subtitles, so that helps.
True.
See, Carolyn.
Did this video came in with this email?
Yes.
I didn't see it. Uh-oh.
That's okay. That's all right. Just go with the flow. Go
Yeah.
with the flow. Okay. A ver. Okay. No hay ninguna pregunta. No questions on that. That's good news. All right. So now we're going to just step one little step back and take a look at a description of what we're going to hopefully do. And remember that I is used for talking about something being just existing, being out there, right? Whereas está is used to talk about specifically the is word for location. So what we're going to do is try to put that in practice with describir una zona, describing an area. Zona can mean zone. It also means an area. So you can talk about any place, any physical place. Just as she was talking about a specific small town, areas in that town. We're going to talk about, you can talk about your town or just a favorite place of yours. If it isn't in your town, that's okay. It could be a place you visited and you really thought was great, or a place that you go to a lot. But it can be anything very much in general. And what we want to do is pay attention to how we use I or está or es. So we're going to go through my little models, and then I'll invite you to share and ideas of your own to describe your special places. So, vamos a ver, I've got pictures here, and that's so that you can visualize what I am talking about because your examples may be much simpler than this, and that is okay. Yeah. So I've got un lugar magnífico, and you know what? I'm going to try to enlarge just a little bit because I know some folks who work on a tablet may find it easier to see this if I enlarge the screen. Okay. Uh, un lugar magnífico, a magnificent place. Es el Parque Nacional Zion. Okay. And now es is just used because I'm not saying it's around, I'm identifying it, right? A magnificent place is Zion Park. And identification uses a form of ser, which could be es, it could be son, if you're describing something that is plural. El parque está, and now we know I'm talking about location. El parque está en el estado de Utah, where that park is. Okay. And there is a river that runs through this park, so that's what I'm going to talk about next. En el Río Virgen, it's called the Virgin River. I know, strange name, isn't it? En el Río Virgen, and I'm going to talk what's around that river. Hay un sendero. There is a trail.
Mhm.
Hay un, and I have to combine I with a quantity or a general, an un. Yeah, a is a general word versus the being a specific thing we tag on to a noun. En el Río Virgen hay un sendero para caminar, a walking trail, que es the Narrows, which is the Narrows. That's the name of the trail. Uh, I and now I'm telling what is around there. Hay orillas, there are shores, meaning, little areas of kind of rocky sand, right? Things that meet up to the water, whether that water is a lake or a river or the ocean, are called orillas, a shore. Shores, plural here. Hay orillas al lado del río y árboles. There are shores, and you can see those little rocky shores, right? On the side, al lado, on the side, or next to. Al lado del río, next to the river or on the side of the river. Y árboles, and even trees. And, I could have even been like fancier and said, hay orillas de piedras. There are shores of rocks because these are not sandy beaches, yeah. Hay orillas de piedras. That's even more descriptive, a rocky shore, al lado del río y árboles. And now I am identifying, not saying it's just around, but I'm going to identify. Es un río. It is a river dentro de un cañón espectacular. It's a river within a spectacular
Canyon.
canyon. See? Uh, and now I use a general word, otros. Otros is talking about a very vague quantity, others. Hay otros senderos. There are other trails. Hay otros senderos que no están en el agua también. There are other trails that are not in the water also. That trail is actually in the water, okay, of the river. Hay otros senderos que no están en el agua también. So there are also rivers, trails, but they're on traditional trails, not in the river. Okay. El segundo ejemplo, second example, and then I turn it over to you guys. Mi pueblo, my town. Okay. El lugar más popular en mi pueblo, the most popular place in my town, es el Parque de la Fuente, is the Fountain Park. And es, because I'm not talking about existence really, but I'm identifying it. I'm giving it a name. It is Fountain Park. And now I'm going to go general with I. There is a, right? And the a word is going to be an una. Hay una fuente muy alta. There's a really tall fountain. Hay una fuente muy alta en el centro del lago. there is a really tall fountain in the center of the lake. Uh, Hay un curso de frisbee golf. There's a frisbee golf course. Hay un curso de frisbee golf en el parque también. Okay. Hay muchos restaurantes y tiendas pequeñas. There are lots of restaurants and small stores al lado del parque para los turistas. Next to or on the side of the park for the tourists. Okay. Los árboles que están en el parque, the trees that are in the park. All right. And now I'm talking about location, the trees that are located in the park. Los árboles que están en el parque ofrecen sombra, offer shade, ofrecen sombra para descansar y comer, for resting and eating. 4 restaurantes más están en la calle, muy cerca del parque. 4 more restaurants are on the street, very close to the park. Durante la Navidad, during Christmas season, durante la Navidad, hay muchas decoraciones en las calles. There are many decorations in the streets. Okay, so you could see examples of hay, you could see examples of está, and know that, there are no magic rules. Sometimes we can change which verb we use according to how we pair up the words. So I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. This little sentence here, hay un curso de frisbee golf en el parque también. There is also a frisbee golf course. And because I'm choosing to combine it with un curso, a course, I'm using I. I'm just talking about existence. I could have changed the structure of that sentence and therefore the verb by changing it this way. I will show you how. If I chose to phrase it differently, it might also, with the same information, sound like this using a different verb. El curso de frisbee golf está en el parque. That conveys the same information. It conveys the same ideas, but my word combo is different. The course, and now I've got a specific. The course. I'm not saying there's a course, general. I'm saying the frisbee golf course, this one, by using the specific word el. The is a more specific word. El curso de frisbee golf está en el parque, is in the park, is located. And then I have to switch to, then I have to switch to está. Perdón, I need to change that out. Okay, so I get that back. Bien. So those are my examples so that you have an idea. They're probably more elaborate than what you want to do today. That's fine. If you've got an elaborate example, that's all right too. All right. So the thing that matters is that you try to convey an idea about a place that you're familiar with or that you like with everybody here. Okay. ¿Entienden? Understand?
Sí.
Ok, vale, magnífico. Muy bien. Hay alguien. Is there somebody? It's general. Is there somebody? Yeah, somebody is very general. I'm not, yeah. Juhi.
Okay. Me gusta ir Natural Bridge State Park. El parque está en el estado de Arizona. Hay un largo puente natural hecho de piedra. Es muy bonito. Hay arroyos y piscinas naturales.
Ooh,
Hay un sendero para caminar. A veces tienes que trepar las rocas en el sendero. You climb over rocks, sometimes on the
Sí, sí,
trail.
sí, trepar. There are a couple
Trepar.
of words. Yeah, trepar. 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 Sí, trepar. Trepar is to climb.
Okay.
Yeah. Or like if you think about scrambling to,
Yes.
yeah. That's what trepar is.
Okay. And then, pero no voy mucho porque no se permiten peros en el sendero.
Bien. Buenos ejemplos. Muy buenos ejemplos. Bien hecho. Well done, well done. Muy bien, sí. Vale, gracias. ¿Alguien más? Somebody else who wants to share discussion about a place? Jenny.
Un lugar más favorito es Sedona. Hay muchas rocas rojas. Me gusta caminar en los senderos. El Bell Rock Camino está en el sur de Sedona y es muy famoso.
Excelente, excelente. Bien hecho, bien hecho. Well done. Bien hecho. Ok, está bien. Sí, las rocas rojas, sí, Sedona es un pueblo muy famoso on account of, por las rocas de color rojo, ¿sí? Por todas partes, ¿sí? Alrededor del pueblo de Sedona. Fantástico. Bien. ¿Qué más? Who else has a place to talk about? Jean.
You're on mute.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so there are a couple words that I had to look up, so I'll tell you in English what those are when I get to them.
Sí,
Right?
sí. Está bien.
Yeah. So vivo en un pequeño pueblo llamado Fontana, Wisconsin.
Okay.
En Fontana hay muchos manantiales, which means natural springs.
Sí.
Yeah, manantiales que producen agua dulce y fluye hacia un lago cercano llamado Lago Geneva Lake, right? It's the lake nearby. Puedo ver el lago desde mis ventanas. Hay una playa a unos 5 minutos a pie. Mi esposo y yo caminamos todos los días junto a la playa. En mi asociación, I don't know how to say, asociación de propietarios, I forgot to look up 500. 50?
500?
500, yeah.
500.
500, yeah. Hay 500 casas en mi asociación.
Okay.
Y nuestra casa está al frente de ese, I don't know, say barrio, neighborhood, in front of my neighborhood.
Sí.
Mi casa es la más cercana del lago.
Okay, muy bien. And a word that she used, actually, I'm going to use my screen to kind of help people out because sometimes when you hear it, it may help you to also see the word at the same time. I'm trying to get my,
Sure.
whoops. Me equivoqué. I got the wrong button. Okay. Because this is kind of a long word. Manantial. Perdón.
Manantiales, yeah.
Sí,
Tiales.
manantiales would be springs.
Yes.
Like springs, water springs,
Yeah.
not springs that go pop, pop, pop.
Right.
out of your cushions of your chair, but those kind of springs of manantiales. See? Manantiales. Bien.
So this town the reason why it's called Fontana is because that's like fountain, right?
Sí.
So,
Sí.
yep.
Sí. Okay. And little This word quinientos is 500.
Yeah.
I want you to notice one thing, and now this would not cause you to be misunderstood. So just know this is a refining thing, not like a fundamental, oh, gee, what a mistake thing. Because you combine it with casas, okay? Because you
Yes.
combine it with casas, we need to change that just a teeny tiny bit to be
Quinientas.
quinientas. Okay? Por lo general, generally, when we use those numbers, especially with prices, we don't teach the feminine forms. And the feminine forms don't happen with all numbers. They happen with the hundreds words,
Sure.
but not with really much of anything else. So I don't know, go figure. But because casas is a feminine thing and you're specifically pairing it up with casas, it would be quinientas casas. If you said quinientos casas, somebody would totally understand you. You would not be misunderstood. It would be a teeny tiny, a nothing kind of blip. But para que sepan, just so you know. Okay. Excelente. Gracias, Jean. Muchísimas gracias. Okay. Otra idea, another idea. Carolyn, sí.
I wrote it in the past because it was in the past, so I don't know if you want me to try and change that.
Lo que sea, whatever you like,
Okay.
whatever it is.
Hace muchos años fui a Sevilla, España. Sevilla es mi lugar favorita. Tomé un taxi a la parte más antigua de la ciudad. La plaza era preciosa, con naranjos, una fuente grande y bares con mucha gente bebiendo cerveza y vino. También había caballos durante carruajes. Tenía una dirección a un apartamento. Llamé a la puerta y una mujer me abrió. Ella era mayor y estaba vestida en una blusa y una falda roja. Había muchas cucarachas por todo el suelo. Viví en ese piso con la señora y 3 otras personas por un año.
Ok, bien. Bueno, recuerdos de Sevilla, memories of Seville. Bien. I'm going to put some things on share so people can hear some of the transitions because some people may not know these past, and that's okay, but just so they can see that difference, all right? Whereas you know, voy as I am going or I'm going to go, right? Es for is. He is, she is, it is, and I for there is, there are. She just used some past ideas because this is something that happened in the past. Okay, so fui, I went, is the past of voy. Those two verbs, voy and fui, sure don't look very related. Yeah. We've got a V in boy. We've got an F. Where does that come from? I can't even tell you because it's a linguistics thing and I don't have a degree in linguistics. But fui is the past to say I went. It's the past of voy. So fui a Sevilla. I went to Sevilla. If she describes somebody, era, instead of es, sí, es una mujer or es una mujer mayor is an older woman. If you're describing somebody that way, it would be era. She was. Okay. Era could also be it was. It can also be he was, right? So era is a past form of es. And for I, to put I in the past, it becomes había, right? Había caballos. There were horses. Había, right? But just like I has only that one form to talk about existence, right? Just I, no plurals yet. Había has to talk about existence in the past, only that one form. So if you were to flip those ideas, voy, es, I, into the past, they would become fui, era, and había. Okay. A ver. Muy bien. Muy bien. A ver, I just saw a TV show recently where they used that General Plaza in Sevilla as a background, and I was like, I know where that is. Yeah. Um, because it was in a show that was like not related to Spain at all, but they chose it because it's such a scenic spot. Bueno, bien hecho, bien hecho. ¿Quién más? Who else? Who else has a
I can
place
go.
description to share?
You do.
Sam.
I can go.
Or Sam and Mark, right?
Andrew first, and then I'll go.
We'll go Mark first. Mark first.
Okay.
Marcos.
Hace 2 años visitamos a Nueva México y el norte de Arizona. Un lugar interesante fue Window Rock, que es la capital de la nación Navajo. El
Bien.
nombre es porque la formación rocosa, rock formation,
Mhm.
natural con this was a very new word to me, agujero muy grande, an opening
Agujero.
grande,
Sí.
yeah, window.
Agujero is like a big hole, an
Yeah.
opening. Yeah.
También está la escultura, the sculpture conmemorativa en honor de los Navajo Code Talkers
Ah.
en la Segunda Guerra Mundial.
Sí, los code talkers, sí, los soldados muy famosos de la Segunda Guerra Mundial, sí, porque
Well,
hablaron en código o hablaban en código, they talked in code, sí. Ah,
yeah, muy importante.
muy importante en la historia de la Segunda Guerra Mundial y porque la lengua, el idioma, the language, see, there are two words for language in Spanish, el idioma and la lengua. El idioma de la tribu Navajo, sí, era o es algo es una lengua que muy poca gente conoce, language very few people are familiar with, sí. Así que la lengua era en aquellos tiempos, it was in those times, muy importante para compartir información secreta,
Secret.
to share secret information, sí, en el ejército, in the army. Bien, bien.
Uno más.
Bien.
Había una casa de empeño pawn shop. Había una casa de empeño con muchas artesanías Navajo. Navajo,
Artesanías.
artesanías
Bien.
Navajo, donde compré una pulsera bracelet, una pulsera de plata con varias piezas de turquesa.
Perfecto, perfecto. Muy bien, sí. Bueno, sí. Tengo un cuñado. I have a brother-in-law. Tengo un cuñado que enseñaba en el norte de Nuevo México unos años, a few years. Y es un lugar muy pintoresco, ¿sí? Y un lugar muy importante a la gente de la tribu de los Hopi y los Navajo, ¿sí? Bien. Bueno, Gracias, gracias. Información interesante. Bien. ¿Quién más? Sam.
Ok.
Sam, tienes algo, ¿no?
Un lugar especial en Vedanta World en Puerto Vallarta, México. Durante nuestras últimas vacaciones en Vedanta World, I can't pronounce this. Descubrimos, D-E-S,
Descubrimos, we discovered.
descubrimos que un edificio llamado La Plaza es el lugar más popular del complejo. How do you say that?
Oh, and,
Complejo.
oh, perdón, otra vez.
Popular del complejo.
Can you spell that for me one more time?
Complejo.
Complejo?
Complejo.
Complejo. Oh, perdón.
Complejo.
Sí, sé. Complejo. Sí,
El lugar
complejo.
más popular
Complex,
del
complex,
complejo.
complejo, complejo.
El edificio está junto a un lago y en su interior hay un mercado con una excelente panadería y una tienda de vinos.
Okay. And remember when you have your I word, it should, right? That A should sound like I.
Ay, okay.
Okay. This is one of those things with the vowel pronunciation that is really a challenge for us English speakers because we have a lot of variations and a lot of patterns that are stuck in our English speaking
Yep.
brain that does not want to give up that sound. But for the Spanish speaker, and I'll put this on screen because even though this is a simple thing, it is a thing that is super important for you to be understood when you speak. This word this word I has to, your English brain knows this is hey. But it does. This is it seems simplistic, but really it is kind of a complex thing because your brain is wired to do this. And, just automatically as a reflex, that is very hard for an English speaker to rein in and change. That cannot come out as a, right? Because a to a Spanish speaker will sound like a, and they think, what is that? Yeah. That is something that can cause a really fundamental block for the listener who is a native Spanish speaker. So this must always sound very pure vowels like and we ignore the H, the H, of course, right? We ignore H's unless it's a CH, the ch sound. Any other H is silent. I.
Ay,
I,
ay,
I, right? You start
ay,
with a very open mouth.
ay.
Right? And if it kind of goes into A, if it gets into the Fonzie territory from Happy Days, if it gets into that, it will cause a real block for somebody saying, I'm not quite sure what that person said. So always make sure you have that as
Ay.
I, right? That is a really fundamental, important thing. But the other word he used, which was a good word, complejo is complex. Some things in English that get this X, some things, not all, but get a J in Spanish quite often. Bien. Complejo, complex. Okay. Bien. Algo más, Sam? Anything else, Sam?
Just one more.
Okay.
También hay una crepiera llamada Sweet Paris. That's it.
Okay, bien. And a good eye on there. See? Fácil de entender. Yeah. And this is why we're here because, these tweaks make it easier for other people to understand us when we want to communicate. an idea to them. Okay. Vale. Fantástico.
I
¿Qué
have
más?
something.
Sí.
Okay, I don't know if somebody else wants to go first, but I'll give it a try.
No, you go right ahead.
Okay. Sorry about my picture not being.
That's okay. Está bien. This is Lisa. Sí.
Yeah. Vivo cerca a la zona, pero ahí es muchos parques al lado Greenbelt.
Okay, back up a little bit because I'm having
Yeah.
trouble with that. Go back to what you want to tell me in English, en inglés.
I wanted to say that I live near the downtown,
Okay.
but there's a lot of parks.
Okay, so vivo, I live.
Vivo,
Sí. Cerca
cerca
del centro.
del centro. Okay.
Vivo cerca del centro. Live near the downtown area. The center, right? We think of centro, C-E-N-T-R-O, centro means center, but in the context of talking about places, el centro is a downtown area, the heart of a physical community. Okay.
Zona is another word they were using when I looked it up.
Yeah.
Down.
Zona can mean area. Zona can also mean the same thing as barrio, neighborhood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It doubles up. Zona can mean an area. Zona is used by a lot of folks, especially in Mexico, to talk about barrio, which means a neighborhood.
Uh-huh. Right. One more short one here. In Florida, I don't know what the word is in Spanish for Florida. I guess it's Florida.
Florida, yeah, it comes from
Florida.
Spanish.
Fui con primas a la playa para positive ions.
Positive ion. ¿Qué es eso? Sí.
We went to the beach to be close to the positive ions for the positive of the sea, the ocean.
Okay.
That's
And
not why, but I mean,
primas, cousins?
yes, primas.
Okay. So fui con las primas or mis primas, my cousins. Yeah. If you want to tell whose cousins they are, right?
Yes, okay.
Mis primas.
Mis primas, of course.
Okay.
That helps.
Sí. Bien. Ok. Entonces, fui con mis primas para estar cerca, to be near, sí. Positive ions. Wow, I don't have cause to use ions a lot. It might be, so I see, ion. Yeah, I wondered if it was going to be the same thing. Ion. Iones, it's spelled the same, but it's pronounced differently. Iones positivos. Iones positivos.
Iones positivos.
Iones positivos. Bien. Vale, magnífico. Bien. ¿Algo más?
I can go.
Sí. Ok, Andrew.
Hace dos veranos, mi esposa y yo fuimos a Roma. Rápidamente nos dimos cuenta de que Roma es demasiado grande para verla en un solo día.
En un solo día, in one day.
Yeah.
One day shot. Okay.
Sin embargo, vemos el Vaticano, el balcón desde donde Mussolini daba discursos,
Ah,
el Calcino, Basílica de Santa María, todos desde el exterior.
Okay. Sí.
También,
Discursos used to give speeches, yeah? A discurso is a speech. It sounds like a discourse. Well, a speech is a discourse in fancy English, right? Okay.
Yes. También vimos una arquitectura preciosa, el río Tiber y una Hard Rock Café.
Okay. La última palabra, last couple words?
El río Tiber. I don't know how they pronounce it.
Okay. El río Tiber, sí.
Yeah.
Tiber River.
Yeah, Tiber River.
Eso, sí. Bien.
Una Hard Rock Café. That was meant to be huge.
Hay un Hard Rock Café.
Yeah.
Cerca del río Tiber. Ay, qué triste. That is sad. If I go, si voy al río Tiber en Roma, en Italia, yo quiero comer en un restaurante tradicional italiano, por lo general. Pero sí, bien. Ok, vale. Gracias. Un viaje a Italia. Julie, sí.
Un lugar que me gusta mucho es Steamboat Springs, Colorado. Es una ciudad pequeña con una población de 13,000 más o menos. Originalmente era un pueblo de ganaderos, Ranchington. Pero ahora, en invierno, es principalmente un lugar para esquiar. Todavía es un pueblo de ganadero. Los rodeos profesionales llegan a Steamboat todos los viernes y sábados durante el verano. Durante el invierno hay una fiesta por una semana con carreras en las que los caballos tiran personas, incluidos niños pequeños, muy pequeños. Por la calle central que está cubierta con nieve durante toda la semana. También hay muchas otras actividades de entretenimiento salvaje oeste.
Ok, sí, hay otras actividades. There are other activities, ¿sí? Bien, ok, gracias, interesante. Aquí en un lugar aquí en Estados Unidos. Bien, bueno, bien hecho, sí, bien hecho, well done. ¿Alguien más? Anybody else with a favorite place?
I'll try.
Sí, let's take Cindy and then Karen. Cindy
Okay.
and Karen? Okay.
Okay. Mi esposo y yo vivíamos en Egipto.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
Fue una experiencia única en la vida. Tuvimos la gran suerte de vivir en un país con tanta historia, con una cultura muy interesante en muchísimas cosas que hacer. La gente era amable y generosa. La mayoría de ellos vivieron una vida sencilla.
See, there you probably want Bibian lived. Yeah, because we're not pegging it to a time.
Okay.
Yeah, when we don't peg something to a specific limited time, beginning and ending, it's just Bibian instead of vivieron. Okay, bien.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay. Egipto es un país pobre y muy interesante. El turismo es una parte vital de su economía.
Economía, sí.
Sí, hay hermosas playas y complejos turísticos turísticos
Turísticos.
en el Mediterráneo y el Mar Rojo.
The Red Sea, el Mar Rojo, sí.
Los museos eran llenos de artefactos. Había mercados en todas las ciudades y pueblos. El mercado de El Cairo era especialmente impresionante.
Okay.
Y por supuesto, estaban los lugares de interés histórico y los tesoros de la historia.
Y tesoros, treasures, tesoros de la historia, tesoros de la historia. Sí, claro.
Las pirámides, la I don't know this one. Esfinge, the Sphinx.
Oh, ok. A ver. Tengo que buscar aquí. Esfinge. Esfinge.
Esfinge.
Esfinge.
Sí. El Valle de Reyes y el Valle de las Reinas, la antigua obra de arte y numerosas tumbas y tiempos. Y por último, nosotros montamos camales en el desierto.
Oh, camellos, camellos.
Camellos.
Camellos
En el desierto. Es un país muy especial y único.
Sí, bien. Okay, I'm going to put up just a couple things to show. There was only one thing in there I would have changed a little bit. I'll show you which one it is. And it's actually, it's a good thing to think about. Here is a little change that is a very good change to think about. You had a little sentence where you talked about something is full of. I think,
The museum.
museo, yeah, museum, yeah. And eran llenos is not what we would use to say was full. And remember, I showed you that era up here was to say it was instead of es. So for those people who are not real comfortable with past, just so you know, we're looking at these equivalents. Es becomes era. So if I'm talking about plural of era, it's eran. But we don't combine eran with llenos. Llenos is a word that means full. Okay. And full is a description, but full is full is one of those words, the character of that word is a temporary thing. Things can be full, they can also be empty. Full is a description that is very easily changeable. It shifts a lot to different variations of full or empty, right? So when we talk about something being full, that's a condition that changes a lot. So we'll use instead of eran, estaban, right? This is one of those differences between ser and estar that is, again, tough for English speakers, right? Because full is a very easily changeable condition, right? That is not real stable kind of thing, right? Think of llenos as a word like contento, happy, changeable, easily changeable, shifting in its variations there. So estaban llenos, were full. Were full, okay? And para que sepan, so everybody knows that word sphinx is spelled like this. And that's a fun, yeah, esfinge, esfinge. And here's the hard part, that ge, right? There are two letters that can get the ch sound, right? And here you just kind of have to know it's not a J-E, but a G-E. Esfinge, esfinge, sphinx. Okay? And camellos, camellos, right? Camellos has that double L, but it'll sound like a J, J, J. Camellos. Camellos, el animal. El animal como un caballo, pero no es caballo. It's kind of like, se usa como un caballo. You use it like you use a horse. Pero no es caballo, but it's not a horse. Es un animal del desierto, claro. Ok, magnífico. Bueno, Karen. Karen.
Yes, these are all hard acts to follow.
Hard
But
act to follow. That's okay. Studying.
But I'll try. Okay. Kennywood Park es el lugar el que me gusta visitar. El parque está en West Mifflin, Pennsylvania. Es un parque de atracciones histórico. Eso ha estado funcionando desde 1898. Hay 3 montañas rusas de madera, los Jackrabbit, Racer y Thunderbolt. Hay deliciosas patatas fritas que puedes comprar. Muchos turistas visitan este parque.
Okay. Bien, bien, bien hecho. Well done. Bien hecho. And I want to show you one word, which is a very good word for everybody to know and use. Exóticos. Exóticos, right? And it looks a lot like our word. It just has some little add-ons to make it Spanish. And because she was talking about a plural thing, it's a plural description, right? Exóticos, exóticos. Bien, it's one of those rare words that gets an accent mark because if I look at that, words that end in a vowel or N or S, vowel and or S, generally stress the second to last syllable. But because the way we pronounce or say this word does not follow that rule of punch or give stress to the second to last syllable, we have to show in Spanish that the stress falls elsewhere. We have to show where the punch or the stress or the emphasis will fall because it does not follow the rule. The way we pronounce it does not follow the second to last syllable rule. So we put that, we give it an accent mark to show this, when you read it, that this is where we punch more or put more emphasis, exóticos, right? It's not exotijos. Exotijos would follow the rule, but the way we pronounce it breaks that rule. So we put the stress where, so that people know, oh, punch this sound harder instead. Exóticos, exóticos. Okay. Bien, magnífico. Bien, I think we caught everybody today, did we not? ¿Sí?
You did.
¿Todos? Muy bien, excelente. Todos tenían ejemplos. Everybody had, tenían. Todos tenían ejemplos. Everybody had examples. Fantástico. I want to add one little cherry on top of the sundae. This is a little added bit of information of a special little structure that's good to know related to the word I. Okay, so this is not connected to the uses of I that you have done, but it is important to know because it is something that you hear quite a lot when people are giving general instructions. Okay, so this is a use of I. Remember that I it comes from a verb called haber, Haber, haber. And haber literally means to have. I know, but it's not like tener. And haber wears many hats. It does different kinds of jobs in Spanish. Haber, as you have been using, is a verb that only has one form, I for presente. Or if we talk about it in the past, right? If we change it to a past form, it becomes había, había, H-A-B-I with an accent, A, right? Which había sounds more like haber, right? Sounds more like it comes from haber. So, I and había means there is, there are, or there was, or there were, right? And I can show existence, which is what you have been using it for. Haber can also be used with what we call compound tenses, and that just means saying I have seen, that have. And that is why haber means to have. It is using compound, meaning there are two words that work together in the verb phrase. But there is another hat that haber wears, another job that haber gets. And it is not related to there is or there are. It is this phrase of hay que, hay que. So if you hear I combined with the word que, know that what you have coming up is something that says one must. And one must is very, very formal. Wow. Yeah. One must do something. Or in English, in American English, we would more likely say this as, oops, you have to. Yeah. We are less likely to say one must. Somebody living in the middle of London who is very proper might say one must. But we in American English would probably say it as you have to. And hay que, when it, hay que, let's be a little more specific. Hay que, what will come after that? Hay que will be combined with an infinitive, oops, verb. Okay, so we can combine it with anything else. You have to do something. And that do something is always going to be an AR, ER, IR. It is a non-conjugated verb. So we'll show you how you hear this. It's talking about obligation. All right, what you have to do. So here's how you will hear it. Trato de engrandecer. I'm going to try to make this a little bit bigger for those of you who are working on iPads. Yeah. Okay. Hay que. Okay. Ejemplos de hay que. This is actually something that's quite common. Hay que, hay que pasar por aquí. When somebody wants you to use a certain pathway to walk through an area, they might say, hay que pasar por aquí, or they're giving you directions. Hay que pasar por aquí. You have to go through here, this way. You have to go through here. You have to go through this area. Hay que pasar por aquí. Okay? Por ejemplo, hay hay que practicar mucho. You have to practice a lot. Okay? This is how people say you have to. Hay que hay que escuchar bien. You have to listen well, meaning maybe closely, carefully. Yeah, not carefully, but carefully. Bien, hay que escuchar bien. ¿Sí? Hay que escuchar, hay que practicar, hay que pasar. ¿Sí? Hay que comer. You have to eat. Okay. Hay que is always combined with an infinitive, and it tells what the activity is that you have to do. Why do we have this IK? IK. Can't we just say, tienes que, you have to? And I want you to hear there's a slight, very subtle message that somebody sends when they use IK instead of tienes que. Tienes que could convey the same idea, but it's a different word combination. Tienes que comer, you have to eat, also means you have to eat. Okay, so I want you to take a look and listen to these. Hay que comer essentially means the same thing as tienes que comer. They use two different verbs, right? But notice that tienes is conjugated for tú, right? So a tú verb means we're talking directly to you, the human being. I mean you, the specific you, you who inhabit that body. Tienes is conjugated for a person I am looking at, saying, hey, you, that one human being. Aike is you in its most general form. It does not relate to you, that one unique human being who is you. It means you in general.
Right.
Okay? So, Aike, let me put it this way. Tienes que makes the command of you have to very personal.
Right.
Hey, you, that one person, you better do this. It's pretty firm. It's up close and personal. It means I'm talking to you as that one person. And I'm not being general with the word you. I mean you, that person inhabiting that body. So tienes makes it very personal and very direct, as you have to. But hay que comer, you have to eat, meaning, well, anybody, any general you. I could throw that out to mean any old you. Yeah. Hay que comer, you have to eat. You in general, anybody in general, right? So hay que makes this have to super general to anybody. Hay que is less direct. It is less in your face. It is not personal. Yeah. It softens a directive. So it's kind of good to know that while tienes que comer is very upfront and in your face and very direct, you have to, it puts a responsibility on you. And hay que is, well, you have to, meaning anybody has to. So hay que really would pertain to anybody in a group. Yeah. And it is less, it is more general. It pertains to any person at all as a you, right? Sometimes in English we use you as a blanket idea for anybody I am talking to, and that's the idea behind Aike. All right? See? So if somebody wants to give you a direction to do something, but they don't want to be super pushy about it, they might use Aike, right? It's kind of like saying somebody really should take off their shoes instead of saying to your kid, take off your shoes. It's that difference. See, Carolyn.
It sounds like something I would hear in a museum, some kind of directive that's a general thing that everybody has to obey.
Like in a public place. Exacto. Yeah, it would be like a direction in a public place or to any person at all who came into a public space or a private home. But yeah, anybody in that space, right? Aike would pertain to anybody at all. I don't mean just you because you're dirty or I don't like the way you look or or I just want to like be in your face about it. Yeah, Aike pertains to anybody in general. Okay. So I wears many, many hats in Spanish. It has many jobs. You're going to see another job yet today, a little bit in class, but it's good to know that I has many purposes. All right. And if you don't like that idea, I had many students. And as a 14-year-old or a 15-year-old in my classes many years ago, I would have, at that age of 14 or 15, it would be, the reaction was often, well, why, oh, that's stupid. Why do they use the word so many different ways? That's stupid. That's a 14-year-old reaction. That's stupid. Well, because you're not used to it, it's stupid. Okay, but you know what? It's just the way they use it, and you have to accept that. And I would say, well, all right, so, it's kind of stupid that we use the word get in so many different ways in English. Get is a pretty stupid word in English, right? Get dressed, get a job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get real. Get. Now, that's stupid. I use get in a whole bunch of different contexts in English, and it means different things, right? But we have to get used to these, and it's uncomfortable. So, yeah, these are uncomfortable things, and but the nice way of presenting that, really, which is a more open way of thinking of it for a 14-year-old, is, well, it wears many hats. It has many jobs, just like get has many jobs in English. I has many jobs in Spanish. So,
Merlin,
Andrew.
would it be fair to say that high K is more of a request, whereas tienes que is an order? Or is that too
IK is
strong?
just a general way of saying that something is an obligation that you need to do, that everybody should do. It's a way of talking about obligation in performing a certain action.
Okay.
But IK makes it very blanket and general, meaning just anybody at all, you at all. Whereas tienes que makes it very personal. You, that one human being, must do something, have to do something. See? Okay. Yeah, we have, that idea of must could use different verbs in Spanish. Así es. That's just the way it is. Okay. Yeah.
Hey, Marilyn.
Sí.
Can I ask a quick question that's
Sí.
maybe it's a simple answer and it doesn't necessarily go with what you've just been talking about, Aber, but it's something that comes up every once in a while. So when I guess I'm thinking about like singular and plural with verbs. So for me, sometimes I get confused because they use when I read in a translation or something, it uses the we form, the nosotros form. When I thought it should be the they form. Like, so if I have my spouse, my husband and I walk along the beach, that would be, I would say that in English, we walk along the beach. So I would use caminamos for that.
Exacto. Sí.
But
sí.
if I named two people, say Paul and Peter walk by the beach, then would I use caminan for them?
Then it would be caminan. Sí.
Okay.
And you know what? These are actually very good questions. This is why you should never think, gee, this is a dumb question. No, it is not. That idea of plural, again, in English, it's something that, you were probably told in third or fourth grade, but let's face it, how often that concept is, but you probably never thought about it again.
No.
And really, why would you? Because you don't need to think about it very much. But then when we look at a different language, we have a different way of thinking about language and how we use it. So let's go back to this. Vale la pena. The idea of plural, let's just go back to that a little bit. The idea of plural. Well, plural means more than one. All right, we can agree on that. Singular means onesies, only one thing. And plural means more than one. But when we talk about, let's say, verbs, right? Okay, with things, that's very concrete. And that we do not struggle with, right? Los chicos is plural. The kids, boys, but kids, bunch of kids. It's the plural of el chico or la chica, because in a general group, if it's mixed gender, which is likely to be, okay, los chicos, the kids. So we don't have a tough time in English of going from singular to plural with things or humans. That's kind of obvious. But now when we get to verbs, that becomes complicated because verbs can also be singular or plural. So let's just back up a little bit because this is really a foundational kind of thing. All right. So verbs can be singular or plural. And also we have the idea of what person and this is the verb is in. And I guarantee you, we never think about this in English. We just do not. I walk, you walk, he walks. Walk and walks. That's it, baby. All right. And how do you know? Well, you just know. I walk, you walk, we walk, he walks, she walks, the dog walks. It changes to walks. But that's not a lot of changes, is it? Walk and walks. That's not a lot. It's only, adding an S on. Well, that S doesn't mean plural there. Ooh, but just tacking on an S doesn't necessarily mean plural, does it? All right, so what person the verb is in. So here's the thing. Verbs will come in, let's put it this way. They exist in Spanish in first person, second person, and third person. Okay. And this might seem like that's like totally not useful to me in English, and maybe it isn't, but in Spanish, it becomes very important because each one of these persons gets a singular and a plural expression. Aha. All these persons are talking about groups of people. And in Spanish, the verb tells the whole story. It tells you what the activity is, because that's what verbs are. They're actions, activities. It tells you who's doing it, and it tells you when the action is happening. And let's just stay with present tense right now. But do know that this idea of when it's happening might be right now, it might be in the future, it might be in the past. Okay, that's what we mean by when the action happens. But all verbs go into a first person or a second person or a third person form. And so we also need to know that those person forms might be singular, meaning they talk about only one human being, or plural, meaning it's a group thing, okay? Yo and both yo and nosotros are considered first person. All right, so yo means I'm only talking about myself. And that's singular, first person singular, all right? But if I want to talk, like Jean was saying, my husband and I, now what that means, now I've got to change the verb, because now I'm not just saying that I'm doing something. I'm saying that I have people with me and we're together doing that. So first person has yo, right? Singular, but it also has a plural form. And first person plural is just nosotros, but it needs a different verb form. So camino means it's me, and I'm just talking about myself doing it. I'm on my own, right? But caminamos changes it from I have somebody with me, and maybe I name who that person is, and maybe I don't. I might say we, nosotros, or if it's a group of all gals, nosotras, a feminine we word. Or nosotros can take a different connotation, like mi esposo y yo. Y yo. Anybody with y yo tagged on is a nosotros idea.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mi esposo y yo. Usted y yo. You and I. Tú y yo. A different you. Tú y yo. You and I. Right? Mi gato y yo, my cat and I. My cat and I are sleeping. See? Bien. Mis hijos y yo. First person might be conjugated for I'm by myself doing this. It might be conjugated for I have other people with me doing this. Es muy importante. All right. Second person is considered this idea of tú. All right. And in Spanish, it's tú for singular, one, you. Now, in Spain only, tú gets a special form, vosotros. And this is not used on this side of the pond. And people who live in Latin America don't particularly like vosotros. They hate learning that. They know it exists, but they're like, this is useless because we don't use it. And it's a regional thing, right? Okay, so vosotros is used, however, in Spain all the time. And it's just the plural of you guys, but the friendly you guys. So yeah, you're talking to a group of friends. You need vosotros, and it needs a special verb. But, in Latin America, they will not use that vosotros thing because they only use ustedes as the you plural. So, but when people talk about second person, they mean tú. All right? Or in Spain, they mean vosotros. In Latin America, they don't mean anything at all with second person plural. And third person, okay?
So would that be caminas then, if you were using walking?
Okay. Let's look at caminar as an example. Caminas, that means it would be caminas.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? Caminas, and the personal, the friendly you, tú, caminas. Right. And people will hardly ever say tú caminas. They'll just say caminas. Because caminas tells the whole story with that one word, the one verb all wrapped up into that, okay? Caminas. And in Spain, that would be for a group of people, camináis, 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 okay? But you won't hear that verb form on this side of the Atlantic. You won't, because they just don't bother to use it. Okay, so third person means anybody who's not in the category of yo or tú. Anybody in the other category. So, and oddly enough, the one thing we have to remember is usted, the formal you, falls into this category in Spanish, okay? So because they have more than one word for you, indicating closeness of relationship or familiarity, let's say, that's a better way to express it, right? Formality, usted is the formal, polite you for somebody you don't call by their first name, or you want to give extra respect to them because they're an older person or a person who has status above you, let's say in a company, corporate structure, right? Usted. Okay. Usted also uses the same kind of verbs that any third person is. But third person means any one human being, but it's got a singular and a plural. So again, third person means somebody that's not in the realm of yo or tú. It means somebody else. I am talking about some one or plural person or persons, okay? But not in the realm of yo or tú. So any one person gets what we call the third person verb. And singular if they're one person, or plural if they are more than one human being. So that's why to talk about my husband and I on the beach, we cannot just say caminan por la playa. Caminan por la playa. Caminan means they are walking, and I am not in that group. So caminan already automatically tells you a bunch of people are doing this, but it means I'm not in with them. I'm not putting myself in that group. Entienden? See?
Yep.
Understand? So, this first person, second person, third, it's like, okay, but who cares? But, first person also always makes it very personal. Du also makes it very personal, meaning you got a familiar, close relationship. But third person is always somebody else. It's somebody else. And I'm not in the group.
Got it.
I'm not in the group. Does that make sense? See?
Yes, it does. Thank you. Yeah,
Sometimes it's good
I
to
got
think
stuck a couple
about.
times.
Yeah,
I'm like,
this
wait a
kind
minute,
of.
this is weird. Yeah.
Yeah, verbs convey a lot more. The verb conjugation conveys a lot more in one word than English does. Always. See, Carolyn.
Do we always have to put the subject in front of the verb in speaking? Because
no, we don't necessarily.
You just put the verb and you know what the subject is. So is it
exacto.
You leave ustedes or usted off of there or not?
Yeah. Okay. So, okay. Buena pregunta. What a good question this is. This is a good question. Spanish will not necessarily use a subject. It may, but it may not. Well, that's so unhelpful, Marilyn. I know it is unhelpful, but it's good to know because this is what they do. So let's take a really basic, let's take a basic view of this. Spanish will, what? My keyboard. Y teclado. Spanish will not necessarily use a subject. It will not necessarily, let's instead of use, let's say name. Spanish will not necessarily name a subject. It may, if it feels it must establish context. Okay. It will not if it assumes you know the context. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that, because this is important. And often this idea of context happens because you are present with somebody or something, and because you visually see who is around you. That is the context. Context can be visual. All right. But in writing, if you're reading a newspaper or a book, context may not be visual. All right, let me give you an example. Here's a really basic question. You walk into a store and you want to just be polite and do the chit chat thing, right? And somebody says, "Hey, how are you? ¿Cómo está usted? ¿Cómo está usted?" Right? You're just walking in and, "Hey, how are you today?" Right? You're just being polite. ¿Cómo está usted? Let me try to make this bigger again for those of you on an iPad, tablet. ¿Cómo está usted? How are you? Okay, how are you? That's a basic question. It's like a no-brainer, right? How are you? ¿Cómo está usted? And we already said that usted uses these third-person verbs. For the verb forms, it just uses those, just accepts that, okay? I know we think of it as you, and you should be second person, but in this case, it uses a third-person verb. But somebody, if you walk into the store, you're the only person in the store, somebody approaches you, you're behind the counter helping customers, and that person may just look at you and say, ¿Cómo está? And they don't say the usted part. And you say, well, wait a minute. How do I know that they're not saying como está and talking about somebody. How do I know? Well, you know because you're looking at the guy behind the counter. And they're like, well, seriously, do I have to spell? A Spanish speakers, their mentality is, I have to spell this out. You're in front of me. I'm looking at you. Of course it means you. I just don't have to say the word you. ¿Cómo está usted? Okay. So that's, yes, will they, that is the subject, right, of the verb está, but they may very well drop it. Yeah. Why? Because they feel like it and they feel it's obvious. All right. And it's no other reason than that. Bien. Okay. But sometimes context has to be spelled out, right? I could say different conversation, different context, different situation. I could say, está está muy cerca del hotel. It's very close to the hotel. Now, in that situation, just that sentence by itself, it's very close to the hotel.
What?
I know it means one thing, but I don't know what it is.
Right.
Got no clue. What's very close to the hotel? That sentence, está muy cerca del hotel, is out of context. I don't know. All right. I may need to add something to,
Mercado.
yeah, I may need to say something like, le. I clearly have not had enough caffeine this morning. El, el, el café. Let's see, my brain is totally stuck. Let's get all these things out. El metro está muy cerca del hotel. And now now we mean the subway stop. Oh. El metro está muy cerca del hotel. I now am naming it. I'm naming it. I need to name it. I could say the pharmacy is close to the hotel. The park is close to the hotel. The taxi stand is close to the hotel. I could say the restaurant is very close. I don't know what it is with está, but el metro, this names it. But let's say the conversation goes like this. You're at the concierge, at the el hotel. Buenos días, ¿cómo está usted? ¿Cómo está? Bien, gracias, bien. Tengo una pregunta. I have a question. Tengo una pregunta, ¿sí? And you ask, ¿dónde está el metro? Because you want to use the metro to get around town. I can't, and the reason I can't get my because when I switch from Spanish to English keyboard, punctuation marks go to all different places. Okay, ¿dónde está el metro? Where's the metro station? I want to use this, right? When they answer you back, we have now established context. We have established context with this word, metro. Now, the person you're talking to knows, they want information about this place. You know what? When I answer back, I don't need to put that place in there.
Right.
I don't even need to say it. I don't even need that. Why? I don't need it. That verb says the whole thing. Está muy cerca del hotel. Yeah?
Yeah, I know.
And it is. It's all wrapped up in that one word. We knew we were talking about el metro. We have established it in the previous question. So when we talk about context, that's what people mean by context. It's actually very worth it to take some time to talk about this because and people will, now in French, I don't think you can do this.
No.
Yeah. Other languages you cannot, but people in Spanish, both sides of the pond, doesn't matter where, will always do this. Okay. So you have to be following the thread of the conversation.
So
Yeah.
if you're going to say I go or I'm going now, you
Boy.
don't have to say yo boy. And
No,
this
you
is
don't.
a
No.
problem for me because I drop the subject usually.
I dropped,
I
yes.
don't know if that's right.
So a key is a lot of people who are native speakers, one of the ways they know you're a foreigner is you use yo a lot.
Okay.
Or you use tú a lot.
Mm.
Yeah. Yo and tú are used to give emphasis, which we use with the fluctuation of our voice up and down, or hard or soft pedal. We use our intonation of voice a lot to do that. Yeah. Uh, oh, he's tall is different than he's tall. Yeah. He's tall. Yeah. Es alto. Él es alto. Yeah. Él es alto. I actually use the word él to say he, él es alto, I'm like, ooh, he's tall. But, typically es alto. He's tall. And so, yeah, knowing how these are, yeah, using yo all the time when you don't need to, or tú all the time, or nosotros all the time, they're like, gringo.
Yeah.
But, okay, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Get me right. So, a lot of times, oh, how can you sound more fluent? Well, that's good. But our key is how can you be understood, right? Generally, if you want somebody to speak closely, or excuse me, if you want somebody to speak slowly and clearly because you need time to process that because it's your second language, really, them knowing that you're a gringo or a gringa is actually not a bad thing.
But
Let's
is
be
it
honest.
rude? Is it rude not to address someone that you don't know well with usted? Is it rude or appropriate?
That's an interesting question. So let me say it this way. If in doubt, use usted to address somebody you would not call by their first name. All right. Here is how usted would be seen as important and polite. And polite is a big deal. Courtesy is a big deal. Usted with somebody, if you're addressing somebody who is an older person, as a young person talking to an old person, that's kind of to say tú to an older person because you're not showing respect. A younger person speaking to an older person really should use usted, unless you're talking about a grandkid to grandma and grandpa. Okay. Usted is to show respect for older people. Usted in an employee to a big man boss situation, kind of a big deal. A person who is a clerk speaking to a customer, usted can be very important. Now, here's the caveat. A clerk speaking to a customer they see all the time, a whole bunch of times, they'll switch to tú. Because they've seen you a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Here's the other little twist, and this is a little bit controversial. This is something I've heard people complain about, actually. Some people, I think more in Spain than in Latin America, complain that everybody uses tú now. Everybody uses tú all the time. What a slap in the face. But in fact, if you're a person 30 or younger and you go to Spain and you're talking to a waiter, you'll probably use tú. Tú is much more common now. It's slipping into tú as a familiar you becomes a very common thing. if people have seen you a few times in the store, they may slip into tu. And it's not necessarily, they're just like, oh, I see you. You're a regular. Yeah.
Right.
But if in doubt, usted is always a more polite way to address somebody. Yeah. You know what? Another good example, speaking to a doctor, is seen as kind of bad manners to just do with your doctor. I mean, even if you know you're, because you're showing respect, he's got a title.
Doctor.
He could be using a scalpel on you. Use usted. Be nice. Show some respect because that man can wield a scalpel. Okay. I mean, that gives you an idea, right? Yeah. And you know what? If somebody uses tu to speak to you, they're kind of giving you license to use tu back. So that's the other important thing to know. Somebody talks to you using tu, I'm comfortable with you. Go ahead. You can use tu back with me. They've even got a verb for that. Tutear means to talk back and forth with somebody using the tu form. There's a verb to say that. Tutear. Podemos tutear. We can talk back and forth using tu. You don't have to be so formal with me. Don't use usted. Podemos tutear. We can speak using tu. That's it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I went on a little long, but hey, sometimes some of these like ground rules of context and all that can be kind of important. What I'm going to give you as a homework thing and as a topic for next week, because this is one of the only times of the year, this in monsoon season where we live, where you can actually talk about weather that's real, because it doesn't change very much here. We're going to do a thing on weather because we're looking at really basic verbs. And our first couple sessions were about I versus es versus está. And now we're going to talk about weather things because weather uses, possibly many different verbs, but the most common verbs you may hear to talk about the weather, which is a normal chit-chat thing, are hace, right? Hace, because the weather makes, the sky makes weather. The atmosphere makes weather, right? Hacer means to make or to do. Hacer is used with a lot of weather expressions. Está is used, está, okay, our old friend comes back. Está can be used with many weather expressions, right? And I, our old friend I, also wears this hat of sometimes being used in weather expressions. So I'm going to send you a file that talks about super common verbs to use in talking about the weather that's around us. And I'm going to also send you a video, and it will not be a storytelling video as I normally send. Although if I find a good short one, I may do that, include that. I may give you 2 videos this week, but they'll be short. One of them for sure will be short. Hacer, we will use to talk about weather. Está, we will use to talk about weather. And I, and why are they different? In what word combinations will we use them? Because there will be combinations. And also there are going to be some verbs with weather talk that generally pertain to precipitation events. Okay, and the most common ones you need to talk about are rain and snow, rain and snow, rain and snow. Okay, so precipitation events of rain might very well use one type of verb, and precipitation events talking about snow or the frozen liquid will use a different verb. So I'm going to send you a file. It will talk about how we talk about weather for right now, what is happening, to talk about what the weather will be like in the future, or what the weather did
in the past.
Yeah, yesterday, maybe an hour, In Arizona, it could be an hour ago.
Mm,
How many times have you had rain that only lasted for 5 minutes?
That's true.
Or less. Or less. Yeah, where we live is weird. All right. When I taught 14 and 15-year-olds, they'd be like, we don't have seasons. I'm not joking. Like teaching weather and seasons was very hard because all they could think about is summer. Hot or not hot. Those are our seasons.
Right.
Well, okay, yeah, and maybe monsoon season, but we actually have weather. So I'm going to send you a file about that, and I'm going to send you also a video that will talk about different ways, expressions we use with weather, common things you will hear. And I think there is a little story video that will just talk about winter in particular, winter vocabulary, and it will have to do with clothing and, other things related to weather ideas. Okay, todo bien?
Okay.
All good?
Todo
Yeah.
bien.
Okay.
Gracias.
Magnifico, magnifico. Okay, so you will dabble a little bit with right now and in the past and what it will do. And those are going to be easy things to navigate because we're using some really basic verbs. Muchísimas gracias. Sí, que tenga muy buena semana. Have a really good week. Y gracias por participar. Thank you for participating.